This is an introduction to the IPTC Cultural Heritage Metadata Export-Import plugin for Adobe Bridge. We covered installation of this in the introduction video, so refer to that if you haven't installed it. Likewise, there's also in the zip file in the guidelines quick instructions on installation. What this tool does is allows you to export embedded metadata to a tab-separated text file that you can then open in a spreadsheet, like this. You can then use this metadata in other ways, say importing it into your local database. You could also use it to make batch edits in Excel and then put the metadata back into your files. You could also get metadata from your local database, put it into Excel, and then embed it as a batch mode into all of your images before you publish them online. So let's start with the export process. After you've installed the tools, you should see this IPTC Cultural Heritage Metadata menu at the top. Just click that and then select Metadata Export Import. So the first thing you see is usually the export screen here. And your options are, one, you can select only certain thumbnails to export. So if you select that option, then you would go into Bridge and just manually select all the images you want to export. So I just want to do these. But if you want to do everything, all the files in that folder, you just select entire folder. And this gives you the path. This will be the path of the current folder in Bridge, but if you want to navigate to another folder, just use the Browse button and navigate to that folder. You also have the option to include subfolders. This means that if I have other folders within this folder, sort of nested folders, by checking this box, all images within that entire directory structure will be exported. And then below that, you've got options to prepend image dates with an underscore. This is useful because sometimes Bridge will reformat dates into something that is maybe not what you're looking for. So by prepending it with an underscore character, it maintains the format of the date as it's exported from the images. And then when you go to import your metadata back to something else, you can just take out that underscore during that process. Likewise, removing line breaks is important because you may have, say, an image caption that includes a line break, and that can really cause a problem for Excel. So once you've set your options, then click the Export button. You'll be prompted then to choose a location to save your text file to. I'm just going to do mine on the desktop. And then select a file name. Down here in the file name box, just type in, I'll just say export test number 2. And then it will automatically save as a text file, which is what you want. So just click the Save button. So then it goes through to find your images, and then if all goes well, you get this little window that says Success, and it tells you how many images were saved to this location. So to see that information, I'm going to just open up Excel. Open up a new workbook. And this is the best way to bring that information into Excel. Go to the File menu and go to Open File and navigate to where you've got that information, where that's saved to. Here's my export test to text saved on my desktop. So just I'm going to select that file. Oh, by the way, make sure you've set your file type to all files. That's important. Then it will be able to see the text file. So I found my text file. I'll double click it. And then it opens up the import wizard. So these things should be set by default, but just go through them and make sure they're correct. So we're working with a delimited text file, and the file origin or the encoding should be Unicode UTF-8. If it's not, just select it from the drop-down menu. But this is important to make sure that the character encoding comes out correctly. Go to Next. Make sure it's tab-delimited, and then just take a look at your preview, and this looks correct. I've got separate columns for each bit of information, and then click Finish. So then you get something that looks like this. So This is a preset format we have for the Excel spreadsheets, and the column names need to always be the same. So the way they come out here, like say for instance AO title, that stands for artwork object title. You can import this metadata back into your images, but the key thing here is that the column names always stay the same. So as I scroll through here, you can see I've got artwork title, artwork creator, artwork date, and then I've got image information, say image creator in this case. So you can save this Excel file and then manipulate it. You can do things with it, import it into another system database. You could also make some batch changes right here in Excel and then put that metadata back into your images if you want to do that. So let's move that and let's cover the import section now. So going back into the tool, I will click import at the top. Now you see the import screen, and there are more choices here. You've got to do a couple things. You have to tell it where your folder of images that you're looking at that you want to embed to, where is that folder located, and it will default to the current folder in Bridge. So if that's fine, that's where your images are you're working with, that's great. You can also click the Browse button to find a different folder. Then you have to tell it where your metadata text file is located. So by default it remembers the last one I used, but I could also browse and go to a different location. Let's do this one. So that is the export test to text. That's the file that I want to import. So a scenario here would be if you exported metadata from your local database and then mapped it into the template. Remember, like I said, it's very key here to remember that if you're for the embedding tool to work, you have to use these column headers. So what you might do is you have your export here, and I've just selected all my column headers. I'm just going to copy them, open up a new worksheet, paste them in. These are the file headers that I need to map my local data to before the import tool will work. It's got to recognize AO title, for instance, for it to work. Okay, so that's the sort of mapping process that you have to go through for your local data. Anyway, once you've prepped your spreadsheet and you're ready to import it, you make those selections, the folder location, file location, and then you have to choose some of these things at the bottom. You can opt to match on just the file name, which is the default. However, if you're including subfolders, again, nested folders within a parent folder, you might select path and file name, and this gives you a more accurate match just in case you've got duplicate file names in any of those. Say you've got derivatives that have the same file name. Below that, you can choose to overwrite all fields with the data from your spreadsheet, or you can write only to empty fields. The bottom option is a little bit safer in case you're worried about accidentally overwriting fields, but if you know that your spreadsheet is correct, just select overwrite all fields. Then below that you have the option to create a headline, a description or a caption, or keywords. These three options will take information from the artwork object columns and automatically concatenate them into these common fields, headline, caption, and keywords that appear in a lot of photo applications. So this is just a shortcut way to sort of repeat your information in a way that is a little bit more consumer friendly for non-professionals. The last option is to set a thumbnail label, and when you set this option, when you run your import, it will add a little white label that tells you that information has been embedded into those files. So I'm going to click import, and it's now searching for the information, and it looks like it was successful. So I imported information into 20 files, and you can see that the white labels now appear. So this tells me that I've imported IPTC metadata into these images. And that is the basics of how it works.